Well, good morning. It's morning here in Randoland, and yes, there are people awake here at this hour. And you know what? If you are a fan of, there's traditionally what been like Rando After Dark. This is Rando at Dawn. There is no better way to start your day than watching a Link to the Past randomizer ladder. We are in the final week of groups. This is group week 3, top 4. We have Teto versus Eri. This is actually Tato's last and final game of groups. He is unfortunately down 0-2. Took an early loss versus Humbug and Relkin. And so he is really interested in trying to take out a victory against Eri, which of course is a pretty difficult task in itself. But you know what? If there is a Joker for the job, he is the guy up for it. Eri, you can see that he might be making a reference to the last time that he played Teto in Ladder, where, imagine having a 58-minute finish time and losing to a 51:39. I am Clear Mouse. I am joined not only by the one and only Korik. Korik is a former Crosskeys champion. He is actually has a I would say like hidden title season 0 overall a winner on Ambrosia on ladder, and he has plenty of experience with Open Plus. Given that he also was a 9-1 qualifying into top 16 and a participant in brackets. Korik, we are actually already watching Eri and Teto take off in this particular race. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing great. Thank you for that introduction. Pretty exciting matchup here. We have two very good runners. Don't really need any introduction, but we do see a little bit of early divergence with Teto checking Lumberjack for just a blue rupee there. Eri just electing to skip that until he finds the real boots.
Oh yeah. So right, so as part of Open Plus, for those of you who may not have seen this too much, this is basically open and very similar to, I would say, last year's SGL 2021 hard item pool set, and but of course, most importantly, speaking, we get to see basically Eri and Teto dash, with those pseudo boosts, because even though those boosts aren't actually lit up, in this case, we get to use basically all of the movement speed and abilities of regular boosts, just not in this case logically. So if you ever see these guys kind of like bonk, it does kind of look a little bit odd, looks a little bit like shorter, but yeah, that means, no bonk rocks, no torches, stuff like that.
Falling in the hole if you try to bonk at the Hera big chest, things like that.
Oh, Korik, are you speaking from experience? Are you just
Never.
hypothetical? Yeah, actually, so you had actually mentioned just very kind of early on Divergence. So kind of in your experience, for Open Plus, like is checking Lumberjack kind of like I don't know, something that you would recommend doing, something you see like people, runners kind of doing more in a more common sense? Because I know that people don't like to check it like without boots, right? Because it's kind of slow.
Yeah, so my personal opinion is that there's just not much reason to check it before you have the real boots, because as we know, real boots sometimes just don't show up. So it can just be completely lost time. Now, the one upside is you do get a few extra opportunities to get resources. So like you can get the crab on the way and such like that.
Mm-hmm.
So that can pay off a little bit, but I think really early on in Open Rando, checking Lumberjack every time was kind of the thing that people did. But as we go on, very few people do the early check without boots, in my experience.
Oh yeah, no, that early resources, man, these are actually kind of like some of the good things that actually, maybe just like lesser or underrated, abilities that I would say like probably goes through more of like a runner's minds, right? Especially actually, you're kind of watching the different sense of resources. We are actually getting like a good amount of money, looks like through Kakariko, especially with that 300 in the well. But in terms of actual like usable resources, right? I believe there we're actually just getting a few bombs to kind of get us out to the Kakariko, but we would actually probably like, something else, right, along the way. Some more bombs. We did get a glove on this early map check. Pendant Eastern, Pendant Hera. But I mean, yeah, in terms of otherwise, like, we kind of need something else to kind of like get us going in the scene, right? Like some sort of weapon.
Yeah, that's right. We do have an early glove here, so we can check the back of Escape. That's a nice 3-item check. Obviously, South Shore is pretty easy with bombs overall, but we are a little bit light on progression. So I think that's probably why Eri is doing the YOLO race game here, because he hasn't found much yet. So hoping that, this pays off for him.
Yeah, and of course, right. So good on Eri, and hopefully in this case, Teto is going to remember that yes, you do indeed need a bomb. You can't actually, use pseudo boost to bonk open that wall, even though like with real boots you can. It looks like actually only 20 rupees on the race game, so Kakariko outside of that glove isn't, and I guess a little bit of extra cash, which of course you're never going to turn down, but generally speaking, not very profitable.
Yeah, and then Eri here going for the back of escape. I think that's a pretty clear next play. It's something that's generally not going to be faster. Eri missing the bomb. That's okay.
It's okay. It's very early. It's just barely past noon where he is. He's just waking up a bit. Man. Okay, so we did. Okay, good news is we did get 3 items in the back, but the 3 items are pretty are pretty underwhelming. You know what? Never mind. we got those arrows in the back of escape. We have a bow.
Yeah, Eri's doing his map check. It's kind of interesting now because he got that early bow, but Eastern's a pendant. So if it was a crystal, I would expect Eri to be going directly there, but electing to do South Shore instead. The bow is actually a really nice pickup for him. He's down to 7 bombs, which should be plenty for South Shore, but everybody knows that mini Moldorms can be a bit of a troll. So getting the bow makes that free now. So I say free with heavy quotation marks, but it's free.
I was gonna say maybe for something that's like top 16, top 8, top 4, and the Open Plus Invitational. Yeah, sure, it's free. Although I think if anybody is gonna be up to the challenge, nice quick work or anti-fairy skip. But yeah, if anybody's gonna be up for the challenge, for execution, Eri is gonna be your person. Find an early book. Is that gonna sway you?
Not yet, but we don't have the real boots yet, and we don't have a fire source yet. So. I personally, if we don't get either one of those on South Shore, I probably don't go to desert until at least checking Sahasrahla, if not Eastern itself.
Ah, okay, cool. Yeah, okay. Our Eri here is mini Moldorm. Okay, speaking of, apparently mini Moldorms also drop arrows. Okay. You know what?
And you're seeing the free mini Moldorms here?
This is just target practice, okay? Because we're gonna go over to desert soon, and we're gonna have a lamp as our fire source. And so Eri just needs a couple small things in order to, practice for landmos. It's totally okay, so practice is free.
So it's pretty interesting here. We mentioned that we got pretty good rupees resources, but we still are a little bit short for Zora with those early flippers. It's a little, a little awkward if we don't find rupees here in Ice Rod Cave, or I would assume the hobo check. Maybe Eri would elect to slightly put that off until he could just toss off his rupees, but I guess we'll have to see what he does.
So, right, and you actually mentioned this being a little bit awkward, right? So we have 380 on Eri's side, 390 on Teto's side. Is there, I guess, at what point or what threshold would you go and start farming that 20 rupee cave right there?
Yeah, I mean, it's a choice. It's definitely an option for this point, but 6... Yeah, see, Eri, he was hoping maybe he got some more rupees there and he'd only have to farm a couple times, but... Yeah, I agree with this play. 6 times in and out is a bit much. Yeah,
especially I think I don't know. Again, Eri's file name was please no sub hour. I don't think you're gonna the farming 6 times in Ice Rod Cave or the 20 rupee cave probably is not gonna help you get that sub hour time.
Yeah, I don't think sub hour is really on the table. We do have 2 Light World pendants. So
that's actually a really good point.
we're doing 6 Dark World dungeons. It's we're probably going to be here a little while, although with these runners and starting pseudo boots, maybe not that long after all, but sub hour might be a little bit off the table.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. All right, I'm never disappointed to see such a nice fire source. All right, so looks like Eri's just beating Teto by just a hair into the front of escape with Uncle and Secret Passage. We do find a fire rod. I still have the hope for bow landmos, but that fire rod making, that is certainly one more closer piece, right, to making desert basically fully accessible. You did mention, right, we still don't have real boots, so desert still could be boot slot. We'd really like to be able to find them. but it does, of course, open up at least the backup desert, right? We are, if it's not boost lock, we have the ability to clear out the dungeon.
Yep, that's right. Oh, Teto is making a play here. Got that early fire rod, not doing the front of escape. Now, I think there is a small key here and a map somewhere. So there's only 2 items in here. It is a little bit of a risk, but it sometimes you feel like you need to make a play, and getting that progression, very reasonable, I think, to make a play here and go for desert. It is a risk though, because not only is he giving up the front of escape, but he could find out that desert is boots locked and doubly lose time. Eri moving back to that magic, which Teto had that up on him. He got the drop in the Uncle Tunnel, but now Eri making that backtrack because he sees Lambos in his near future.
Yeah. And actually, so I guess for what it's worth, like, so in that, like, sub-hour seed, they did get an early flute there, but I mean, basically, Teto actually did make an early Agina check, and that was actually their first glove. So hopefully in this case it's gonna, okay, well, it's ether, okay. I mean, and the chances are it'll be potentially useful. Did mention that we have 6 dark, we only have 2 pendants in the light world. So chances of either Meyer or Turtle Rock being a medallion and potentially ether being necessary is it could be up there.
Yeah, we see the map was in Zelda's cell here, so Ares, committing to a pretty long check here. We did the front of escape for 1 item, and now he's going to be going for the dark sewer chest for 1 item. And in the meantime, Teto has Agina checked, and he's walking into Desert Palace. So, this, depending on what's here in Dark Cross, it could be a pretty big early play for Teto, depending on whether or not he ever goes back for it.
Yeah, and of course, right. And so even though we can't necessarily even actually see anything right now, technically Dark Cross is actually in logic, because we did pick up that fire rod, and there happens to be torches all around in order to get over there. So technically speaking, it's kind of like what you see Eri doing. We can't actually light the torches the entire way in order to be able to see, in order to get back here. He just, kind of opting to not, because, another fire rod shot, as you said, might be more time costly. Okay, that's a pretty important item, right?
Yep, Teto might be in trouble. It depends on how he decides to route it, but given that he skipped that early, that could be a big deal. It's still very early, but that the cane doesn't block much. It does block all of Turtle Rock, but if Turtle Rock doesn't have progression, it could be a very, very long time before he gets back there.
Yeah, right. And you did mention, right, so the cane isn't, is just maybe specifically blocking, early, even like maybe mid-game progression. Looks like actually the desert is not boost locked, because that was the map on the torch. But Kena Samari also does kind of afford you like a lot of, like little to major time saves along the way, right? Oh, speaking of back of Saha, we have our first sword. Oh man, what a nice thing to see before like the 15-minute mark, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. And it does look like Ares going into Eastern here. I like the play. I think he might have like a little bit of mental boost. He made that check of Dark Cross, and he feels like, you know what? Teto does skip things from time to time. Maybe I have time to like really put the safety into this route. And he doesn't have the real boots yet, so he might still be making the play that maybe, just get Eastern cleared out here. Early pendant Eastern that you don't check before Dark World, the amount of times that ends up having people's go modes is very scary sometimes. So I like this play, but it could just be, a 3 to 4 minute time sink for nothing. So we'll have to see.
There has certainly been many an instance, even in this tournament, there has been, as you said, progression in this is, basically Sphere 1, Pendant Eastern, or even Crystal Eastern for that matter. And yeah, when people, kind of like make this, their pseudo last location, in the light world, it's not really a feels great moment, because in this case, like your opponent, could have had that, like 30 minutes in, or like the 30 minutes before you.
Yep, and we do see Teto coming up on Landmo. Ares still looking for anything in Eastern.
Yeah, we found the map and the compass, unfortunately. So, in this case, still, looking for any type of non-dungeon item at this point. Teto looks like he recovered actually fairly well, actually, with, looks like, was it 1 cycle? Or 2 cycle, rather, sorry. Oh man, alright, yeah. I guess Eastern Palace's particular layout is, yeah, we're still looking. In this case, we have map, compass, and big key now, so hopefully this is going to be something, at least it's going to make Area a little bit happier. Oh, well, we did need some bombs. Probably not what he was looking for, but at least it's not like an overflow or anything.
Yeah, and the big key being, before Spinella location does mean that Armos is in logic. So given that we're still missing 2 pieces of Dark World, there definitely could be something here in Eastern Palace. Now, Eri, I'm wondering if he's going to pick up the 90 rupees in the rupee room when he goes through here.
Oh yeah, that's a really good point. Oh man, this is some heads up thinking here, correct? Yeah, because so I don't know, seeing from both runner sides, right? Like a lot of the light world has kind of been pretty much exhausted. Right? We haven't really done some like the flipper checks yet. What that single rupee is gonna really help very out. But yeah, like in terms of actually affording Zora, which is basically fully in logic, right, with those gloves and those flippers. Farming, having a quick source of like money would actually be a pretty good idea. Man, Korik, you called it, dude. Like, we're basically going straight in. Eri also even lighting the torch, right? I mean, he's got enough fire rod shots, but especially if you, in this case, want to be able to see kind of what you're doing and avoid those anti-fairies and pick up all the money, really good idea in order to have a little bit of light here.
Yeah, absolutely. That broom, like you do it just fine 90% of the time, but in the complete dark, but man, every once in a while you can just get wrecked and die, and it's just the worst feeling.
Yeah, especially I don't know. It seems like it would actually be kind of like a worse feeling, just because it was preventable, right? As in, like you knew you could just take like the extra 2 seconds to light the stupid torch, and then ended up costing you like a couple minutes, right? Instead, doesn't ever feel good. Alright, Eri, kind of coming up on Armos, for those of you who may have seen an NMG runner or 2 from him, this is going to be, just kind of like another day in the park for him. Jeez, what a nice Armos kill, Eri. Oh my gosh, alright, man, were you talking about the required value here in Eastern Palace, correct?
Yeah, it's pretty great. Obviously, we needed to do that before the Dark World anyway, but he also now has, 28 rupees short of Zora, so probably still not going there next, although maybe he risks it at this point. Who knows? You can always find some along the way, but I expect him to go to Desert. He didn't find the real boots, but I think you just make the play that it's not boots locked.
Okay, yeah, I think that just sounds pretty reasonable, right? He also does have he also has a sword that does make his life a little bit nicer. Although he is not going over to. Never mind, he's just taking a different route over to Desert. Maybe this is maybe a better like screen lines for dashing. Meanwhile, though, Teto actually lit not only 1 torch, but he lit 2 torches just in case, kind of preventing. He's got like full coverage, of the rupee room. Oh, no, never mind. Eri is okay, actually, so maybe he does still have Zora on his mind before he wants to go to Desert, or maybe he just kind of doing like some contingency while he's over here.
Yeah, that's all. All he's doing is just making sure he has the money after finishing Desert, which makes sense. We know that. He's just going to get a crystal here, which isn't bad, but it's not going to be his Dark World access. So I'm guessing that's going to be behind the flippers, but I guess we'll have to see.
Yeah, that's true. And and you did mention that we are still missing, in this case, 1 more piece of our Dark World access, right? We just got the Moon Pearl off of Armos, which Teto is also going to do here very shortly. We are still, we don't have a hammer or another glove, and Aga actually is not really on the table currently, right? We do have a sword. We don't have like a cape or another sword to kind of help out, and we also, more importantly, probably don't have the lamp, right? So, and there's still actually like a good amount of like stuff that we still need in order to put Aga in logic.
Yeah, I think we're gonna find either the hammer or the mitts in the flipper checks, or maybe on Zora, which is kind of a flipper check, but not exactly.
This could be a thanks Solsky seed, correct?
Could be. Eri giving us a double chant. You know,
Yeah, I was gonna say that is normally it's kind of like when you ever see like runners open up desert, you just kind of maybe at least for me like you just kind of tune out and be like, oh, okay, like they're just gonna go on to the next one, and then when you hear the music twice, you're like, wait, what happens? Ari just really likes to read. I'm sure even he has an emote that specifically says that he really likes to read the book.
So it's interesting. Teto could have elected to go clean up escape here before checking the flipper stuff. I mean, it depends on what he finds here. You know, maybe this delayed Dark World will get him back to escape. I think it's very unlikely, but man, he kind of needs something to get him back there. So maybe there's something that's just. I can't think of what item he would find that would make him go back there instead, but man, it would certainly benefit him if he did.
Well, you did mention that this is kind of like, still like, pretty early on, right? Like we're not kind of even like 20 minutes in. We don't have Dark World access yet. And, there are probably going to be like some other potentially opportunities for him to kind of go back to that area. So maybe not necessarily in the life world itself, but, maybe to find like a mirror, right? He can maybe combo that, maybe checking like the pyramid. There could be like Pyramid Fairy. I mean, like, I think one of like the benefits, that you mentioned earlier, right, was that the Cadus Maria, while it probably doesn't block any early to mid-game progression, right? So while we know that it is definitely a required item, like if Teto doesn't necessarily get that like immediately, probably won't be like too big a deal, right? Like of course, he could, he will probably say, lose out on some like maybe like minor to like major time losses, but at least in terms of like actual like blocking progression, hopefully it won't be too bad.
Yeah, and to that point, I mean, we can see right now why Teto decided to skip the two items that were in the front, because Eri is still in the back of Desert here, and Teto is finishing up the flipper check. So it really was a pretty significant time commitment for Eri to do those checks.
Mm-hmm. Although, did you happen to spy what was on Zora Ledge? Because those were all smart bits. So flippers, yeah, definitely in this case are these who are Dark World access. Now, of course, maybe Zora will have the hammer. So close.
Yeah, Mitt's hammerless Dark World is so much fun. Especially
I definitely didn't hear any sarcasm there, Korik.
Yeah, no flute with mitts only. And no mirror. Like, it's pretty nightmarish to route. And I think Ari's giving you a little gift here.
Thank you, Ari. Yes, I was gonna say that. Yes, despite, you know what, for someone who has Ari's NMG execution level, I would actually imagine that the bow is going to be faster, or no, not so fast, but just as fast, as the fire rod. So really nice job, Ari. We got a really nice NMG Armos kill. Got a really nice, NMG, like Limb, Desert kill. In this case, I'm just looking forward to seeing Eri, continue this trend.
Yep, and Teto making his way here, not going into the Skullwoods dip. It is a crystal, and he has a fire rod, but I guess he is, fighter sword, no hammer, 6 hearts. Even with the blue mail, it's like, man, maybe we'll put that off a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I also do see that Teto is, of course, making the right decision going into Village of Outcasts before heading maybe potentially further north. We do got a couple of good items here. In Village of Outcasts, we got C-shaped house, we got brewery, we got chess game, not yielding anything too much. So in this particular situation, you did mention exactly that we don't have the hammer in this case. I'm not even sure we had a map check yet in the Dark World, but is Thieves Town on the table for you at all? Like front 4. Full Thieves Town clear without the hammer, or just basically skip it out entirely?
With that hook shot, I think you do.
Yeah, with that hook shot, never mind. That's at least something pretty good in the front 4.
Yeah, I think you definitely take that hook shot and try to come back later with hammer. There's nothing like necessarily wrong with just finishing it out. It's just a risk, right? But we've also seen that Teto is okay with accepting some risks, so we'll see what he does here, but that hookshot does open up a ton of items. Now, most of them are out of logic, but still a ton of items.
Yeah, so I was gonna say, so like at what point also, we did kind of get like early gloves right now. Nice mushroom, by the way. Yeah, we did also get some early gloves along the way. At what point does the mountain kind of become, pretty tempting for you to kind of go up there and sequence break it?
I mean, personally, I would just do a really quick overworld route to Hype Cave here, and then just sequence break the mountain. Um, that's my own. I think in this situation, it's just routing the Dark World is pretty awful. But you don't necessarily want to leave Hype Cave behind, so I would just like do a quick overworld route, maybe even skip some of the longer checks like Dig Game, and you just run towards Hype Cave and then go for the mountain.
Okay, all right, yeah. Speaking dip game, nobody needs to go to dip game. Honestly, it's just especially without the hammer. One minor note of difference, though, Eri actually going picking up that shield. Maybe he has a small palace, maybe potentially in his mind. Fighter shield, of course, actually being in the item pool is actually, it's an underrated shield. I mean, everyone just kind of like ignores basically all the shields in this case, but there are actually going to be a couple of instances where the shield's actually going to be pretty useful for you. For example, kind of like block off any projectiles. Meanwhile, Teto tried so hard to avoid all the shields. He can't actually do that. He found one. He found the third one in the back of in the Pizza Hut attic. But actually, could be pretty useful.
Yeah, and he has 3 items so far. So he's
Oh, thanks for counting.
he's in pretty good odds to get all 4 items, but there's still a chance that the last item's in the big chest there.
Yeah, shoutouts to our trackers, by the way. Sleepy Loot Goblins. Oh, sorry, 24 of them. Man, these guys are. Everyone is working so hard so early in the morning. Yeah, all thanks to basically Dunka's like magical tracking technology. Like, I mean, basically, he's just basically getting all of the inputs, from Eri and Tato's trackers, and basically, we're basically seeing exactly what they're doing. Oh, Eri, all right, giving us a map check. It is Crystal Thieves Down, Green Pendant Mire. What's the other 5-6 at Ice? Was that what it was?
Yep, exactly.
Sweet.
So I don't know if Teto actually knows that this is a 5-6 crystal, but if he did, it would make even more sense to complete it right away. Eri is going into Skull Woods. I'm assuming he's planning to clear this dungeon, even though it's a little bit tricky right now, but Eri seems confident.
Yeah, unfortunately, this is not going to be quite the NMG fight, that Eri might be more familiar with, just because, for NMG, we do have a Temper Sword. We're kind of far from swords at this point. We're certainly not going to turn down the first sword, because that first sword, I mean, especially, like 12 minutes in or something like that? I mean, it is, makes your life so much nicer. But of course, in terms of offense, Fighter Sword's still not that great, but at least you can, dash to your heart's content.
And well, Teto getting a little bit unlucky. Last item is in the big chest, so that'll be weighing on his mind potentially here. With knowing that he has the cane isolated as well, there might come a point where he has to choose between the front of the escape and Thieves Town big chest. We don't know, but
man.
That could be an option.
Yeah, this is kind of like where especially kind of like mid to late game, is really kind of influenced by your early game, or maybe to early to mid game, like routing decisions. You certainly want to try and route it in a way such that you're not going to be put into difficult routing, like or decisions like later on, but sometimes just kind of as a consequence. Especially, yeah, you mentioned in Tato's case, he potentially could be faced with some uncomfortable choices.
Now we do see Eri dropping into this fight. Looks like he has 3 fire rod shots and his fighter sword, so we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, and typically, it's like, okay, fighter sword, it's not gonna be so bad, maybe we can have the hammer. We don't have the hammer. No temper sword damage. 1 slash of the fighter sword is, we need, 16 of those. A fire rod you only need up to 8 of them, but, yeah, it's definitely going to be a battle of endurance here. Eri does have a blue potion that he got from Marvel Fairy, so it's not like, super. You know what? Never mind. Moth just goes down. Jeez, Eri.
That was a beautiful fight, and Eri gets the flute.
Oh my gosh, dude, making some right decisions. With that fire rod, at least he was going straight to Moth, and that's where in this case, like that is some pretty big value. I was gonna say no mirror immediately means that we can't immediately go activate the flute. But next time he's over Kakariko, which is gonna be relatively soon, he's gonna be able to have some fast light world travel.
I mean, in my opinion, Aries' play should probably be just to save him quit out of the back here and go activate the flute and then restart his Dark World route, because he's gonna walking out of Skullwood sucks anyway. So I mean, you could just save time with a save and quit right here. Yep.
Look at that. All right, okay, so Tato's actually grabbed the Smith. Oh my gosh, went over to Hype Cave, man. All right, so we're gonna make some we got some pretty good plays here on both sides. Tato finding I would say the mirror in the back of Hype Cave, but of course more importantly he found also like the shovel, and that's definitely going to really help him out.
Yeah, Eri could still elect to go back in and check for the last item in Skullwoods, but it's also perfectly reasonable to just skip it for now.
We're definitely very objective, by the way, here in this commentary booth. So I absolutely agree with you, Carmen. That the front of Skullwoods right now is completely not necessary for Eri. Yeah, with that mirror though, this is actually going to be, potentially a little bit of interesting routing, just because, presumably, after Hype Cave, Teto was probably either, going to make another maybe decision, right? Go up the pyramid, Catfish, but with that mirror, basically, I think now he's thinking about, let's just go straight back over to Kakariko and do, the Smith Chain. I just got the shovel, so there's going to be, and I can go check K45, so actually pretty efficient on his parts. Oh, Eri, where are you, dude? Why are we here?
I think Eri has shown that he plans to skip absolutely nothing, which is fine. It's worked out for him so far, He's got the flute, he got the cane.
Yeah, maybe Skullwoods will actually be kind of a nicer layout, we'll actually be able to find something, relatively soon. We're not going to get, map, compass, key. Speaking of vanilla compasses, and not going to basically, have the last item be nothing and the very last check in the front here. Yeah. Oh man. Eri, unfortunately, yeah, no mirror, and just barely missing the Wallmaster to give himself a little bit faster travel back here. Oh, it was a nice bomb jump on Eri's side, but of course, oh my god, dude. Alright, okay, so, even though Duncan is not awake, or here, to bless the seed, you can tell that this is a ladder seed, because we found not only the flute on Mobula, we also found the ice rod in the big chest.
Yeah, I guess the interesting thing right now is, if Eri does everything that Tato's done, he'll be in Hammer Go mode, depending on medallions.
Holy. Wait, is that? Oh my gosh, dude. That, see, I'm just taking kind of stock, so normally, at 30 minutes, you are absolutely correct. Yeah, because Eri's going to be able to get, assuming he dips the front four of Thieves at least, he's going to get his hook shot, which, of course, we do certainly know that it is, hard required, because Swamp is a crystal, but, yeah, I guess, maybe outside of just the hammer and some medallions, we could...
There's the hammer, on Magic Bat.
Okay. Well, we're not quite at the point where, either Eri or Teto is going to be in go mode under the 20-minute mark, but this looks like this potentially could be an incredibly fast seed.
Now, we do need another sword, but there's always a sword directly on the path, and you're never in GT with only fighter swords, so we don't have to worry about that.
We have faith, Korek. I believe, that is certainly, so long as you believe and have faith, you will basically, have a sword at least, at least Master Sword for Ganon. All right, so it looks like at least, so Eri is kind of making a very similar, decision, at least, for compared to Teto, going basically to, the back and clearing out Thieves Town without the hammer, of course. We also know, just actually from seeing on Tato's side just now, well, the hammer is not, the big chest is basically not going to be a worry. So, assuming, yeah, Eri in this case kind of follows up what I think you just mentioned earlier, right? Kind of follows Tato's kind of south of Dark World loop. He is basically going to be, it looks like, barring a medallion, basically making his way up to Turtle Rock. He is going to be actually really good shape. Meanwhile, you also did mention this, right? Tato's skipping, kind of the front of Escape and specifically Dark Cross early on. he is going to be missing, a very, very important piece of that puzzle. And while it is going to prevent him from going into Turtle Rock looking for that Canis Maria, there could be some other, consequences. For example, he is still looking for, an item or two, might be making some, decisions to, full clear out dungeons, versus basically just like go loading them.
Yeah, we see him going in a swamp here, which, based on the way he's routed this and the items he has, is a very reasonable play. But the problem is, he's not going to find anything he needs here except possibly a sword, and it takes a long time. And there's a very good chance that Eri might just end up go-moding this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Right. So of course, Teto has a. Oh well. That's a pretty. That's a pretty good item, silvers in Swamp Battle. Certainly going to be a sight for Sora, especially if we're only going to be on Master Sword. But I was also going to say, so Teto also has quite the reputation of skipping and hating Outside Swamp. So while I would not, I guess, necessarily be expected or surprised in this case for him to be skipping it specifically, but I don't know, like, I can still see him maybe doing it, I guess, like now. It's just because, like, yeah, he's still looking for stuff, right? And yeah, especially when especially if he comes here in go mode, like, coupled with Outside Swamp, and even these, like, kind of, like, minor, other chests, quote unquote, semi along the way, like the compass chest, right? These things, like, do add up in terms of time.
Yeah, Eri's showing us some DLC content. He kind of forgot he didn't have the hammer, so gave us a couple extra rooms there.
The Octopath MSU is like so good, like for the boss musics.
Oh yeah, I mean Octopath is like just an amazing soundtrack overall.
Shoutouts to Arturo, by the way, our restreamer. Like, he actually has sound for us, like, to listen to. Like, this is like super amazing, and like we just been jamming this whole time. Also, the fact that he was also apparently also way awake at this hour, so thank you so much, dude. Alright, Tato's already... Okay, Teto, expectedly skipping out on Left Side Swamp. We are going to see what, in this case, he has. He already does have a pretty good item boost, getting those silvers. But silvers... Well, okay, so silvers can help here if Teto is comfortable with Quick Swap. There is because silver arrows actually can kill like the puffs in Argus, so you could have basically quick swap from like the hook shot to the silvers and try to kill them in one shot. To play the ammunition, do so. I would say the wrinkle in all this is that unfortunately it does take 2 quick swaps over to go to silvers and back, because we've got that unfortunately red boomerang in the way, and I think if you're especially not careful, you actually might end up quick swapping over to the mirror, and then that would be a real feels bad because we're already all the way here in the back of the swamp. But of course, the alternative, or one of the alternatives, of course, is we're watching Teto do this on Fighter's Sword, and it still could be quite time-consuming.
Yeah, it's not the fastest fight, that's for sure. He's managing it pretty well. We did see the map so far, so there's at least one item on the left side that we'll have to see what Argus has. It's either the compass or, there's only one item on the left side. So if you're right and Teto doesn't like left side, I'm sure he's not coming back in for one. I don't know if we'll come back in for 2.
Oh, Argus has the lamp. Well,
I mean, honestly, that's a really nice thing to have in the way with what is currently shaping up here, because we could be Master Sword silverless before too long.
Yeah, no, that certainly could be the case for Eri, right? Especially, we did see that while silvers is in like the technically first chest of Swamp, or at least like the map chest, right? If you're in go mode, it's kind of even questionable whether or not you might open that. Like maybe if you're Master Sword silverless, I don't know if you'd be tempted. I don't know if you personally be tempted for that. But I don't know in this case of Eri's position either.
Yeah, so what I expect for Eri, if he does finish off this with Magic Bat, like I would expect, being at 1 medallion, I think he will make the play to go up and make sure to verify the medallion for Turtle Rock and then check Dark Death Mountain. So if he finds a sword either in Turtle Rock or in Dark Death Mountain, I would fully expect him to skip that first chest. But yeah, we'll have to see what he does here. Maybe he'll make the play that, hey, Ether's good enough. Let's go.
Yeah.
Seems a little bit risky, but hard to say. Oh, Eri is leaving the Dark World behind here. Interesting. This could be interesting.
Did he I think I just must have missed this, but he did check K45, right? Like with that mirror. I know he went all the way to shop. Okay.
I mean, he could be planning to skip Purple Chest and Magic Bat. I'm not sure. Let's see.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point because, right, we don't have the hammer. The hammer is at Magic Bat, which means that mirror and Dark World access is 100% required because you can't get to Magic Bat otherwise. So I okay, you know what? This is gonna give Teto an out and some opportunity in this case to kind of catch up and more time to find that Kena Samaria in the front of the skate for him.
I mean, this is kind of funny because Eri has been super thorough this entire seed, and literally the first time he starts skipping things, he delays his go mode by, gosh, I don't know how long it's going to be, but maybe 15, 20 minutes. Depends on what he can find to do. Yeah, this is super interesting.
Yeah. All right. So, well, okay. So, okay. The good news, of course, for Eri is that when we talked about Teto kind of not having to have to look and turn a rock for that Kena Samaria as an option. Eri also can't look and turn a rock for a hammer either. So, at least they both probably are hoping or thinking in this case that turn a rocks can be go mode.
Yeah, but things that Eri could do is go into pod looking for hammer. I mean, that hammer's never in pod, right?
Dude. Yeah. Oh, dude,
I mean, he could even make the Ice Palace play if pod doesn't turn up. There's a lot of things that could go wrong for Eri at this point. Given that he elected to skip Purple Chest and Magic Bat, I would expect him to keep with that for a little while at least. I guess we'll see.
Yeah. I mean, and of course, coming up here, to the mountain, right? We have, especially after Mitts and Mirror, Hook Shot, Flute, even for that matter, right? It's just that there are just so many items of potential here. I mean, we know that he's not going to find anything probably of use. Probably would like a sword to show up at some point, but he's definitely not going to be able to find that hammer that he's looking for. Oh, Teto, being kind of bullied here by Moldor. Just barely missing the 2-floor fall. That would have been probably also not a feels good moment. So actually, okay, so Teto's also up here, on the mountain, kind of directly after Swamp Palette. We know, of course, that there is also Mocula Skull Woods available for Teto. I don't know, would you potentially do Skull Woods before coming up here? With the fire.
Yeah, I think once he got the hammer, he probably should have cleaned up Skull Woods, given that it's a crystal. And the problem is that he doesn't have the flute because that's on Mothula.
Right.
So it's real pain in the ass to get back there with Skull Woods is just in a terrible location, and it's just so long to get through. So. I understand coming up here for the item density before doing that, but realistically, if you're doing this, you're saying, "Oh, I'll do this after I have flute." But if flute's there, then I have a general philosophy that hey, if you're saying, "Hey, I would do this if I had this item," that is not required, but would just make it a little bit faster, then you probably should do it because the item could easily be there. If it's where you would take your route, if things were perfect, then you should probably take your route there anyway.
Yeah, and especially, I guess this being a, open plus ladder invitational match, we did see kind of the full value of Skull Woods being put on display. Required Ice Rod in the big chest, and yeah, as you mentioned, Flute on Mothula. I guess maybe the flute isn't, potentially required. I guess we don't necessarily know what the medallion is. It's Bombos. Okay, we're gonna. this game is still going for both runners. Eri, of course, is missing that hammer from Magic Bat, which of course he does need his Dark World Portal in the mirror form. Teto is missing his Kena Samaria from the front of Escape and Dark Cross, and both runners in this case are still missing that Bombos medallion that we just saw. That was injury for Rock.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting.
Man.
We'll have to see where that's going to end up. Also interesting is we've seen a lot of chests up here, and we're still on Fighter Sword. So.
Yes, yeah. I was also going to say, like, maybe potentially that flute isn't required, right? You know, we do see that Myers a pendant. You know, well, so we may not necessarily have to go in, but, you know, there are going to be other checks available to us, right, in Meyer area, you know, like Meyer Shed, Checkerboard Cave.
Yeah, and that's where Aries going right now. This makes perfect sense. I do, you know, the flute showing up when we know that lamp was available without flute. It certainly could be the case that it's hard required here. We'll find out. We'll also see if Aries jumps into Meyer. It's definitely a possibility given what he's checked and what he has left behind. But
yeah, and also Myers the green pendant. Hey, look, we found real. Oh my gosh, dude! All right, that flute is 100% required. That is our Bombus medallion. So man, so is this area is in hammer go mode?
yeah, plus that sword. But we know.
Yeah. That's no. We got faith. We have faith that somewhere a sword will show up. So this, in addition, I guess, maybe it depends on when he ends up, if he decides to check the first chest in Swamp without the hammer, he will 100% get those silvers.
Okay, so Aries going to this portal. Hopefully, I mean, if he wants to go to Pod, this would be the way to go there too. But hopefully he backtracks for Purple Chest and Magic Bat before that because, you know, it's right here.
Yeah, no, you certainly bring up a good point. You did mention that, you know, well, we're gonna go north first. Perfectly understandable because we're gonna do a North Dark World loop. You know, check Bumper Ledge, check, you know, Graveyard Ledge. We've got Bonk Rocks as well, King's Tomb, with those real boots. So very understandable.
Yeah, we'll have to see how he routes this. If he does Graveyard Ledge and King's Tomb next, then I think he might be okay. But if he goes Bumper Ledge and Lumberjack, okay. So I think he might backtrack for Bumper Ledge and Lumberjack and then do Purple Chest and Magic Bat. If he was doing this later, I think he might have been going to Catfish and Pod, but this looks pretty good for him, possibly.
Okay, yeah. And yeah, you did mention, of course, you know, without the hammer, you know, we really only do have one Dark World entry point, especially when you don't have the Aga defeated, right? So whatever Aerie decides to do, whether it's North Dark World, Village of Outcasts again for Purple Chest and Magic Bat, Pod, Swamp, or First Chest of Swamp, like, this is going to be his, like, one and only entry. So just kind of have to, like, kind of wait and find out, basically, what Aerie is going to choose to do. You know, Teto, of course, on the other hand, is going to be a bit more telling because he did get the hammer from Magic Bat, and so kind of depending on where he ends up starting or like saving quitting, because he's got no flutes, maybe be more of an indication of where he wants to go. Looks like Ice Palace is on the table now for Teto. No Kata Samaria, you know, from the front of Escape and Dark Cross means that we are going to probably get. It's a little bit slower. Never mind. We're going to.
I think he's getting a potion.
Oh, potion. Gotcha. Yeah.
So yeah, Aerie is backtracking here. Yeah, he's going for Purple Chest and Magic Bat almost certainly. The other unfortunate thing for Teto here is he's done a lot of checks that Aerie won't be doing, and he didn't get a sword out of it. And on the other hand, Aerie did not get a sword, and that means he's probably going to get the silvers that Teto got, you know, if he found a sword, Teto would have had that, at least that up on Aerie. But yeah, it's just not only has he skipped some items, but the stuff he's checking is just not working out for him versus Aerie.
All right, Aerie is going to get his hammer right here, right now. I was actually going to ask, like, so actually after getting this, you will still turn to the Purple Chest, right? I guess, is Aerie still missing a sword?
Yeah, it's only a few extra seconds here, and he's been very thorough. Like, he's checked so many things that just leaving this behind right now when you still need that sword, I would expect that he just checks this. Yeah, we'll see what order he does the dungeons in. Obviously, Swamp would give him that lamp for Pod, but I would expect maybe he does Pod first.
Yeah, yeah, and I guess like that certainly does make sense, right? So like Swamp is certainly very fast go modable. Looks like we're gonna be in Ice Palace at the same time for both our runners. But yeah, kind of also depending on like where that big key is in Pod, right? Because you still have to go find it in order to beat Helmasaur. If it's early, great, like nothing really of loss or difference. But especially if that big key is buried in the back, a lot more opportunities to kind of open up a couple more chests, right? Maybe you'll find a sword along the way there. Then you don't have to make any more, medium to difficult, decisions, right? Do I want to check the first chest with Swamp for the map chest, the compass chest? If you're already on, let's say, tempered by then, like you're not going to beetle even bat an eye.
Yeah, doing ice first here is interesting. I think if you were trying to just check chests that are along the way, Swamp is kind of better. I guess the reason is you don't pick Swamp is because Argus is just terrible.
Oh yeah, that's right. We did see Teto take on Argus with unfortunately just only a fighter sword. Yeah. Yeah, that's actually true. It's like we got our first sword, at the back of Sahasrahla, pretty early on, 12, 15 minutes in, and then we are still having lots of faith that a sword's gonna show up, either pre or post G2. Of course, we are going to see, a pretty, major routing difference or abilities between, in this case, Teto and Eri. Teto was actually here, pretty significantly earlier than Eri, but with that King of Samaria and Icebreaker, I think I would not be surprised in this case if Eri is either like he's going to catch up by at least a couple of minutes here.
Yeah, this will be a pretty good demonstration on how powerful Icebreaker really is.
And nothing really, though, of note in terms of items. Yeah, you guys just see a little bit of like reverse high five, maybe actual high five, between Eri and Teto. But of course, Eri is going back to front versus Teto is kind of going like front to back in this case. But Eri is kind of already basically very close in this case to drop down to Cold Stare. I think that was the second item, right? Maybe. I saw 10 arrows and I saw 20 rupees.
Yeah, and Eri's never checking iced tea here. He's only looking for a sword, and the lamp is a nice to have. But he didn't find anything valuable. Maybe on Cold Stare. It'll be interesting to see where he goes next. He might, if he's doing the avoid Swamp play because of Argus, so I would expect him to go to Pod.
All right, yeah, because Ares on fighter sword, probably not good, and he does have a potion that he is able to use, but it's really not unreasonable for him to use bombos, take a little bit of extra time to break the shell, but he's got a couple of extra fire rod shots instead.
Yeah, very nice start to the fight. Now he's gonna clean it up with the hammer.
Yeah, Ares' execution, this entire game, I would say, has been, pretty on point. Obviously, world record holder for NMG. Very, very well demonstrated by his like Armos and Landmos fights. All he just needed, Korik, was just a little bit of target practice for the main Molder. He's like, okay, this is my warm up, and then after that, you couldn't stop Barry at that point.
Yeah, and we see Teto just continuing to get like unlucky here because he checks Ice Tea. It could have easily been a sword, which would have been a nice benefit for him. Instead, it's just 3 bombs.
Mm-hmm.
And we also see Teto is still in Ice Palace. Eri is long gone.
Yeah, and of course, Teto is also going to be, he's got a bit of more of a magic bar in this case, but presumably he might also just kind of do something very similar to Eri. It's not like his equipment is that much better, kind of coming into, here and taking down Cold Stare.
Unfortunately, it looks like he doesn't have Bombos, so it
you're
be
right,
a long
dude,
fight.
you're right. Oh my gosh, dude, no, you're 100% correct. The 24 sleepy loot goblins have done their job. I'm just playing. Because, yeah, Bombos was in the Mire Shed, which Teto does not have the fluke yet from Makula. So he actually might be opting to use a potion, depending on how this fight goes. Okay, that was a lot of damage, very, very quickly. Yeah, of course, as part of the modified, kind of hard item pool for Open Plus, kind of from like, last year's SGL, there is no half magic. I don't even think they found his replacement, which is like a small magic decanter. But yeah, like, and the bottles, right? You actually see that both Eri and Teto kind of had to go and stop by separately, to like Waterfall Ferry in order to try and get a blue potion and some safeties. Always going to come empty, so certainly have to be pretty conscious of your resource management.
Yep, and then Eri gets his silvers because he didn't find his sword yet. I'm very convinced that he never gets silvers if he's even on Master Sword here, because you have 3 or 4 items you're gonna get along the way anyway. Even though that's only a little bit out of the way, like I think he skips out on Master Sword, but I could be wrong. I think he probably wants to just get going though. But unfortunately for Teto, and fortunately for Eri, he's still sitting on that fighter sword. He gets the silvers.
Yeah, alright, so actually it looks like Ted's kind of like, alright, so some Ice Palace, potentially here thinking, so he's still looking for stuff. This actually might be his, Pyramid Fairy, Pyramid, maybe Front of a City combination. He did end up finishing, Cold Stare, which was his second of the 5 Zeus crystals. Eri, of course, being in go mode, he has probably no interest in this. But for Teto, this is going to be a pretty good opportunity for him to do Front of Escape. But again, we're pretty much almost at the hour mark, right? And I don't know, like the longer you put off, especially like Sphere 1 locations, I don't know, the harder it is to kind of like go back.
Yeah, the one thing I just thought of that I'm a little bit worried about for Teto is if he gets Kane, then I guess he still needs Bombos, but there's definitely a scenario where he gets his flute off of Mothula, and
he doesn't do the front. You mean?
He doesn't finish off the front.
Oh man, that would not be a good scenario for Teto, like at all. Like that would be like not only of course like he's leaving a couple holes behind, right? But yeah, we know in this case that the ice rod where Eri had to consciously go back for, is in the front of Skullwoods.
And we're waving goodbye.
We're going. Yep, we're going. I mean, and just it's just like we know, right? We saw Eri pull out the Kingdom Samari from Darkcross. Very it's Sphere 1 shack basically. I guess maybe take a blue Sphere 2 if you need that fire rod to be put in logic. But from Teto's perspective, it's like, oh wow, I got pod. I have a land to hunt and see where I'm going. It's a clearable crystal for me, and from his perspective, this is very reasonable. It's just we know we need to go somewhere else.
Yeah, I mean, I would actually given that he has pod here. I would be very surprised if he were to do the Front of Escape for 2 items at this point. Given that he has the 5 items in pod here, completely in logic.
Yeah.
But obviously, we were hoping that maybe he would.
All right, Eri. Yeah. Eri's on Fighter Sword, Argus, taking him down. 1 silver arrow at the very end. Okay, so this is going to be Eri's trip into pod, and then hopefully, I guess we're going to get a little sneak peek on Teto's side because we're starting early, on pod for his side. And of course, there is no icebreaker equivalent, of Palace of Darkness. So chances are both runners are going to probably take a very similar amount of time. Of course, Teto is still looking for stuff, so maybe depending on where that big key is, Eri's going to be able to kind of go over to the back and defeat Helmstor a little bit faster. But if the big key is in the back, I'm going to see some pretty similar content.
Yeah, and we'll see if there is a big key up front. Would Eri go back in anyway to look for a sword? It's a hard choice to make, but we are starting to run out of stuff. Obviously GT has a lot of chests, but it doesn't have to be there.
Yeah. Okay. So I. Where's your faith, man? we all believe that there's going to be a sword in GT somewhere, assuming a sword does not show up here, somewhere in front of pod. I was also going to ask though, so you are, let's say you go into GT, and we don't quite, GT is not quite the friendly layout in that we do get a big key early. Would you continue to search the basement? How much of the basement would you continue to search for a sword before kind of heading up?
I mean, I would do everything that's left on the left side, probably.
Okay.
If it was a right side and no small key, and then you went left side, I probably wouldn't do compass room. But that would be the only, and I probably wouldn't do tile room, but those would be the only things I skip. Although if you do that much, then maybe you just do that anyway, because, oh, well, we're getting a sword here anyway. So.
Yeah, never mind, yeah, and especially, so, alright, so we did see that kind of Teto, in this case, took the bow lock side, actually, to go over here. Yeah, I would certainly expect, in this case, Eri to, you know, kind of bypass those mimics, entirely, and at least give a couple of attempts, or one attempt, in order to try and, take a shortcut over to the bow lock side.
Yeah, we know he hovers that. He does have to check this chest. He could certainly elect to mirror out and try the hover, but we'll see.
So
he does. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, Teto just actually went directly back, you know, to the back of pod. Like, I think at least he's, well, I guess maybe he's in one. Well, no, he's in multiple item go mode still, right? He knows he needs bombos. He knows he needs ice rock. He knows he needs Canis Maria.
Yeah, if you're on the right side, though, it's just as easy, I think, to just go directly to Helmasaur if you have the big key, and then clear out the back. So I fully expect him to come back in after he kills Helma. We will see Eri. He's going to get his Master Sword here, and that's go mode. He has silvers, so it's not even a terrible go mode. I mean, Master Sword kind of sucks for GT, but and TR for that matter, but it's doable, right? So Eri will probably open chests along the way, but he's not going to go out of his way for anything.
Yeah, and especially, you know, for TR, you know, for Turtle Rock, like, while you're still go moding, like, you're still looking for that big key, right? So you are gonna still open, like, a good amount of chests, like, kind of along the way. Helmasaur not standing quite still for Teto, but one silver arrow is good. Yeah, I guess we're gonna have to see, in this case, like, presumably he's gonna go back into pod. Oh my gosh, dude, there are 2 swords in pod. Never mind.
This was a very awkward to execute seed for quite a while, but now Eri's just going to breeze through the last 2 dungeons.
Man, alright, yeah, so, and of course, you know, this being open plus, we're not going to see Gold Sword in this particular case. You know, we are kind of capped at Temper. Not that probably either Teto or Eri is going to either care about at all, but yeah, the fact that 2 swords here were in pod, I mean, and one, of course, was on Helmasaur itself, right? So it's not like, you know, we could have had Temper Sword pretty early, but I guess for those of people who decided to, you know, kind of dip into pod early, right, to kind of look for stuff, they would have been rewarded with an earlier Master Sword.
Yeah, you know, it has been available to clear for a while here. Like, Eri could have easily came here and done this dark and had Temper Sword for Argus.
Yeah, that's true. And, you know, of course, you know, Temper Sword for basically any boss, you know, especially for, say, like, the quick kill for Argus was definitely going to be much more comfortable than Fighter Sword. Alright, so, alright. Expectedly, you know, Teto is back here in the back of pod, but of course at this point, we know there's basically nothing, I think, well, that can, you know, really help him out, right? Maybe a cape would be something that is useful. I mean, he's already on Temper Sword, so I wouldn't really expect him to kind of, like, need or want a safety. But yeah, no Ice Raw, no Bombos, no Canis Maria, unfortunately. So Tato's gonna eventually go over to Skullwoods, right?
That might be what he's doing now. Hopefully, he does have Tempered now. Yeah, it's a crystal that he can clear. Of course, he's been able to clear it for a while, but now it's at least, you know, a much more reasonable fight.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true. Like, earlier on, you know, the fact that we didn't have 2 swords from pod, we were still basically on Fighter Sword, and even I think even at the time, like, he didn't even have the hammer, right? Like, Eri actually made a pretty aggressive play into Mothula, just on Fighter Sword and like a couple Fire Rod shots.
Yeah, and I do want to go back and say, skipping Mothula on your first entrance into the Dark World here is perfectly reasonable. You know, that is, not only is it a dangerous fight, but it's a potentially very long fight even if you succeed. So, you know, skipping that on your first go around is very reasonable. I do think he's put it off a little bit too long, knowing that there's a pendant mire. You know, your thinking might be, well, I'll go back there after I get flute. I can activate the flute. I can, you know, do Skull Woods. But we're in a scenario where, as far as Teto is concerned, that flute might not even be available. So I would have liked to see him come here a little bit earlier. But he made some decisions and he's cleared out some dungeons. So he will get his flute here. It will be interesting to see what he does once he has that.
Yeah, right. So the fact that he, I think he did kind of follow Ares' initial route a little bit, right? So basically rushing the boss, going straight to the back. But yeah, as you said, especially I would say like with that mirror available to him, he might mirror out. He also might save and quit, just like what we saw Ares did.
Yeah, I mean, he might just mirror and go activate the flute. I would not be surprised if that's what he does. Now, he is starting to get to the point where he has a lot of, just isolated checks, and maybe he wants to just remove Skull Woods as one of them. Hopefully, for his sake, that's what he does. But I wouldn't be surprised if he just activates the flute and goes to the Mire area, for instance. So we'll see.
Yeah, that would be. Oh man, can you imagine then in this case, like, so he goes to the Mire area, let's say, and then he goes and checks Mire Shed, he gets combo, like.
Well, he doesn't have Kane.
Oh, that's right. He cannot still do Kados. Like, he still can't go into Turtle Rock looking for that Ice Rock because he's still looking for the Kados Mario. But oh my gosh, when is Teto gonna go back to the front of Escape? Like, what is gonna be his incentive? He's already done Pyramid Fairy.
I mean, it's really hard to say how this is gonna pan out. I'm really interested to see what he does right here, though.
Oh, right. We forgot about the bridge chest. Teto, hurry. We need to see what happens after this check. I think this is like a small key. He does have the mirror out, of course. Harry, I'm not sure if that was muscle memory or not. He does have 26 silver arrows, or 21 before the 5 arrow pickup, but I think given the number of times that Ari has gone through Turtle Rock for this particular game, it's certainly very common to see him pick up those 5 arrows.
We do get a ped check, just some bombs. So does Teto go back in? Okay, I think this is good.
Yeah, certainly going to be very good for him. Because we saw earlier on, on Aries' side that, yes, the Ice Rock is in the big chest. It does take a little bit more commitment in order to get, because I think the big key was in Pop Prison, like on the left side of Swamp Palace. And then, of course, you have to kind of go all the way around in order to kind of loop back to the big chest. Now, of course, Teto over Ari does have the mirror now versus Ari, which he did not have, and kind of missed the initial wall master trip over to the front. So presumably, hopefully, Teto is going to be a little bit of time saved there.
And for Ari, he did get a nice big key layout here in Turtle Rock, so he had to get the vanilla big key there. But yeah, he's just tearing through this Turtle Rock. Nothing's really standing in his way. His equipment's really good. He's even up to 10 hearts, which is pretty decent for this. You can definitely end up at this point in the seed with less hearts. And Open Plus does have blue mail, which I think is great. I don't like hard mode without the blue mail. I think it's just green mail at the end of the seed is it can be just very stressful.
Yeah, and especially actually, I would say, considering this this SGL, you mentioned this, right? We don't necessarily have to be on 10 hearts, right? Especially for SGL, the health growth, especially, just because most of your health is going to come from heart pieces rather than heart containers. It is going to be certainly on the slower side, and yeah, especially if most of your heart's going to come from pieces and you don't really have that many. The end fight, being on, let's say 7 or 8 hearts, green mail going into Ganon is really uncomfortable.
So now Teto has his Ice Rod, which is great. He has to go activate his flute, and then we'll have to see. I could very easily see a trip into Mire here for that Vanilla Cane play.
Oh. Oh. But that's an awful place to go look for. I mean, I'm sorry. It's an awful place because we know the Cane's not there, right? And especially, Mire, being at least available to Teto because he just got the flu, it certainly could be very fresh on his mind. So it's, as you said, it's gonna be very reasonable. We just know that he needs to go channel his, Sphere 1 location and go back to the front of this game. Alright, Eri back on Tempered Sword. At least, for the duration of the seed. Certainly showing some very, muscle-membered comfort here. Taking down Trinuts. Teto's going to be picking up his Bombos Medallion shortly. I guess kind of a couple eyes are on Teto. Oh yeah, that's right, and his real boots. Oh, that's right, I forgot about the real boots. So I guess this would also maybe open up North Dark World for him as well, because he still now has those new boots checks too, right?
Yeah, those the real boots might actually save him from dipping in the mire, but we'll have to see.
Okay, so Eri got his wish. This is not a sub-hour seed. We are pretty dang, fast though, all things considered for what these guys had to go through. We're already at GT, basically right at the sub 1 hour, 10-minute mark. And so yeah, all now Eri basically has to do is go look for that GT big key, 1 through 22. Maybe he was even thinking kind of a mid even to late game even, right? Alright, so how much do I have to go search, for GT? For anything, you know what, he's got temper, he's got silvers, he even turned down that cape that was just sitting on the torch. I think he also, he has a lamp. I think he still has a potion. He's got the powder if he really needs it, for safety. I think he's good to go.
Yeah, we do see Eri doing the Blaine route. It's his usual route.
Yep.
And no big key in Stalfos, so we go to the right.
Alright, so there is a small key here in Hope Room, which means that I'm actually, man, I've seen so many of Teto's matches in this Open Plus, and yet I still can't remember, what route, if any, he typically likes to take. But if he decides to do Hope Room first, there will not be too much of a variation. Probably the biggest worry I think for people who do, Hope Room first into, left side, is that if there is no small key, right? And then the big key is in Compass Room. It's going to be on the order of minutes difference for when you end up getting your big key.
Yep, that's right. Eri having a little bit of trouble with his good notes here, but getting it done. And we do see Teto is going into Mire. He did not check Graveyard Ledge, I don't think. He just did the Light World checks, but now making the play here into Mire.
Yeah, right. So after he got the real boots, he mirrored, fluted over to turn the mushroom, which was in this case just 10 arrows. Did his King's Tomb bomb croc checks. Just all in the light world, and then, well, we're here. And he's following that flute again. We got the flute significantly later in Dark World. It was locked behind Mothula. And so he's just chasing some later spheres. Which again, you said earlier, this is very reasonable. I certainly could see him, going into Mire to look for that cane. It just happens to be in this case, if we know, in this case that the cane is not going to be here.
So we're through half of our locations here, and still no big key.
Yep. Yeah, so it certainly does seem that in this case, if you do take, Hope Room first, explore and get your, not big key in Compass chest, and then kind of go over here to left side and left side GT, it is going to actually be a little bit faster than versus what Eri's doing. But I guess, ultimately with the same caveat that, if the big key happens to be in tile room, it doesn't really matter what route you end up taking. You're still gonna basically still, make check number 22, your big key finds. I guess, right, the good news for Teto is that, because he doesn't have the King of Samaria, right, there's no way he can get tempted in order to go kill Vitreous. And so even if Vitreous, I guess the hope is that he's going to find his gold items, I guess, up here, or he's gonna, or I don't know, based on like key logic, he's gonna be able to realize that maybe, you know, if there is an item on Vitreous, it's just gonna, you know, there is gonna be an item on Vitreous, so that he can maybe leave early. It doesn't really look like it though, because we're still gonna go through cutscene chest.
Yeah, he's not finding much of anything, and it's not, you know, a favorable setup for him. The items seem to be a little bit late.
Yeah, and yeah, I think you mentioned this kind of like throughout the scene, right? A lot of the things that, you know, Teto's actually got a good number of checks over Eri, right? You know, stuff that Eri basically hasn't done. But, you know, it's like none of these checks have really, you know, paid off for him, right? You know, we did see, you know, for example, like we saw both Source and Plot. You know, it wasn't, and they happen to basically, you know, not be in, you know, locations like Ice-T, for example, right? Like if a sword was there, Eri maybe needs more target practice for powder. But yeah, you know, like if something maybe worked out, you know, that one of the locations that Teto checked, you know, that was kind of out of the way that Eri did not, could have been certainly an advantage for him. But you know, just kind of like in Meyer, the stuff that Teto's doing basically hasn't really been, you know, helping him out.
Right. The safeties or like the swords that Eri needed were all directly on the path, and nothing outside the path had anything for Teto.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just been, you know, a pretty unlucky turn of events. The early escape check, very reasonable given it's 2 items for a pretty significant time commitment, but it's really not worked out. And then compounded that with the delaying of Skull Woods, and
oh yeah,
Tato's just had a rough go of it here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and unfortunately, you know, like so Teto also did find, you know, the 4th sword in, you know, the big chest of Meyer, which, you know, again, like that is not something I think that's going to be of comfort. We're back on, I think, target practice in this particular case.
You said he didn't need those arrows in Turtle Rock. I might beg to differ.
You are absolutely correct. I take back all my words that I said earlier about Eri not needing to pick up those arrows.
So it does look like Teto is doing his mirror checks first. Unfortunately, he does seem to be just hard committing to that delay of escape. So I don't know what all he's going to check. Theoretically, he could check Thieves Town Big Chest. I mentioned that a long time ago as a possibility. It could happen. We'll see. Instead, it looks like we're getting the catfish check. But the good thing on Tato's side, though, is he is playing to outs here. Like, you know, catfish is a check that nobody likes. So, you know, coming here, there's a chance. You know, obviously, I don't think he feels like the siege has gone particularly well for him. But coming to catfish, he probably still feels like this is a chance that maybe if it's here, I'm still in it.
Yeah. So I guess like, so do you think in this case like he does have like the front of escape like kind of like weighing on his mind? Because I know that, you know, like among other locations, right? Like it is still open to him, but I don't know like how high on the priority list it is.
I think. Well, I think he's going there now. No, maybe not. Maybe not. Where are we going? K45 maybe? Did he? No, he got that one time ago.
He definitely did that.
Oh, that's Side Swamp.
Oh, no way. No way. I mean, did he check Bombo's tablet out of curiosity? I guess I don't remember. Because we did get the book early. Oh, but is this really left side swamp play? Oh, man.
This is definitely playing towards an out. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I can respect it for that because one item left side swamp. If he feels like he needs a Hail Mary, this is the one. So I definitely respect it. It's just not going to work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so right at this point, it does look like Teto is right. He is just only missing the Canis Amari. He's got all his medallions. He does have Bombo's entry. You know, he's got his Ice Rod. Right now, we just need something in order to clear out Turtle Rock.
Eri doing the advanced Agate 2 play where you take a damage boost to have the ball go through you and then slash it at him. That's pretty cool to see. If you're late joining or missed it, the Canis Amaria is in the Dark Cross chest. Teto elected to skip the front of Escape after Uncle since he got progression on Uncle. And there are both a small key and a map in the front. So 2 items for a pretty long time commitment, but unfortunately, one of them was required.
Mm-hmm, yeah. Yeah, in this case, like, Uncle gave us the Fire Rod, which, in a couple, I think, we ended up getting, like, Darkwold access also pretty early as well. Eri kind of finishing up here, on Ganon, Master Sword, we wish he had Master Sword, Tempered Sword, for someone who, especially has done so many tournaments, basically on this type of equipment loadout, should be super, super comfortable for him. In addition, we also do have Silver, so it's going to be even, Phase 4 is going to be just even faster, Eri! Oh my gosh. Yeah, maybe we should go back to Silverless. What do you think?
He definitely tried to greed out the double there, but still got it done. All
right, yeah. All right, so get your, Eri is just basically waiting. Get your GGs out in the chat for Eri finishing up this seed. Pretty impressive time, honestly. 1:19:38. And this is gonna be his first win in terms of groups.
Yeah, GG's to Eri, and we do see that Teto has stopped moving on his side. He did forfeit after the finish by Eri. Very understandable. But yeah, that's a great performance by Eri, and I think we are joined by Eri and Teto. Eri, GG.
Yo, Eri, GG's.
Yo, thanks.
We're also joined by Teto.
Teto as well.
Yeah, GG's Teto.
GG's Eri, and hi everybody.
Teto, fancy seeing you back here in such a short amount of time.
Yeah, it's like, why removing the wall here? It could just join in after every restream currently. But yeah, it's a full week. It was a fun week, but so the journey is over. Congrats to Eri.
Yeah, sorry. Like that's how it goes, I guess. Sometimes you get a 52 or a 51, and
and sometimes you get the revenge. Yeah, that's totally fine. I mean, with O2 coming into this game, and we talked a little bit beforehand. It's like I have to win this, and Eri has to reach the 1-2 tie with 3 people, including myself. So I need to get a nice time. So Eri got a high loss time, something like that. At least just win against Eri. It's not that easy. So I decided to play it a little bit more aggressive, and with the Fireword, it's like, so, oh, you can finish up Desert for maybe an item. Let's go Pendant Eastern. If the big key is early, just logically kill the boss, go for the flipper checks, and it turned out not that bad. But deciding to skip the Moth due to sword reasons, and I wanted to go the northward after not finding the hammer, so I could go northward towards Catfish, Pyramid, and Port. But yeah, unfortunately, it doesn't pay out. And as Eri said, hammer was go mode for him except for the sword. I never realized that, but I just cling for the dim hope of getting the Maria pretty late. So we both might play Ice Palace without, and this Maria lying down in Maya could be my only hope in this.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly does seem like you were trying to play, like for your win conditions, right? Especially, kind of given like your earlier skips, right?
if you skip something so early, you're never going back for that. Finishing up Thieves Town and missing that one item in the big chest, it's like, all right, just add it to the pile of things I'm not going to do in the seed. So there were like 4 or 5 of those checks, and in the end, it's after Maya held nothing. It's like, all right, where could the Sumeria be? In which case, Eri might have not done the check before, and that's the reason why I went back left side swamp, because maybe he was in nearly the same position. Like Sumeria might be go mode, and I'm currently opening up the whole world, and yeah, I hoped he skipped left side swamp for good matter, but nope, no Sumeria.
I did skip left side swamp at least, so you're right with that one.
You ran go mode at this point, as you said before, I think. So yeah,
I still needed a sword.
that's nice of you that you skipped one check of left side swamp for not going for a sword. That's cute. Thanks, Eri.
That's cute. I mean, that's actually quite the contrast, by the way. I mean, so I think Korik did actually, I think, mention this or make this observation, was that yeah, like you also did confirm, Teto, that you did kind of be a little bit more aggressive, right? Skip out a couple things like early on here and there. Eri, on the other hand, probably outside that left side swamp skip for one item. I don't think he skipped anything else.
Well, temporarily, Eri skipped Purple Chest and Magic Bat, which was funny.
Right.
The first thing Eri skipped in the entire seed delayed his go mode by like 10 minutes, but it happens sometimes.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, actually yeah. So I guess Eri, were you just kind of intending to put off and do Bat and Purple Chest together later?
Yeah. So I felt like my early route was pretty good, even if I was very thorough. Like going straight into Skull with both items being major progression, I felt like I could just, from then onwards, maybe delay a couple of things until later. So with the flute and the mirror, I could just check the entirety of Death Mountain, and quickly check a few other things, and then go back to things that Teto was also very likely to do. So like Purple Chest Magic Bat. So once my very dense stuff dried up, and I still didn't have a hammer, I was like, well, I could go into either of the pendant dungeons or into Ice or Pod. But that seemed like I was gonna just skip over a few things that Teto was very likely to do. So we're just gonna clean up the overworld and then probably go to Pod afterwards. But well, with with Hammer being where it was, it turned out very well. And then it was mostly just finding out in what order I wanted to do the dungeons. And
Yeah.
I thought the Flipper dungeons first made sense because you were going to go through most of the chests anyway. And if I was able to skip the back of Pod, that could be a good time save.
Ah, okay. Yeah, because I think we were also wondering, on commentary where, why you end up choosing to do Swamp over Pod first. But yeah, I guess that makes sense too.
Yeah, I think Swamp is pretty decent at this point. Like Eri said, with Ice Palace, I'm not that sure because the boss, it could be sometimes trouble a little bit, but Eri's skill totally.
I did have bombos already, so Cold Star shouldn't be a problem, and it was pretty good.
But Eri, go on.
Yeah, but still, it's like you could always mess up a little bit in Cold Star, but yeah, bombo. Yeah, oh. Makes sense. Nice play.
Yeah, so I guess Teto, so this, I think, well, this is not only, I guess, your last group game. I believe with the current record, I guess, that you have, does not look promising that you might end up...
There is a chance that 2 people get disqualified later on in this tournament. So I maybe... No, it was a fun ride. I could have eliminated in the first week. I just went through to the second because Tutor won his last match. So I magically won the tiebreak for the second week. That was a great one. I played the full course here in terms of group matches. So thanks Stanka for the opportunity, and it was a fun ride. And now I can watch the 3 of them go for the heads up for the 2 spots for the finals. and enjoy the rest of the ladder Invitational tournament.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for playing. Those were 2 great matches, though. Like, I haven't played you that much, even though.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
pretty rare that we played somewhere, not even in the German tournaments or somewhere else in the world, except for maybe 1 or 2 ladder matchups we had so far. But knowing we are playing each other is another mindset than get paired after a ladder match and be like, oh, he was my opponent. That's nice.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, hope we meet each other in the future again.
Yeah, definitely. I'm going to race you again. It will be a fun one once more, like the last 2. So best of luck, Ari, for the next 2 matches, and
Need it. Thanks.
thanks for scheduling these games in the short week I just had. So this turned out well, not except for the results.
Yeah, I hope you have a good weekend. Long
Oh,
weekend.
thanks. Yeah, it's on the Dokumi, the convention.
Right. Okay.
And there will be even a rando restream of mine. I will play there a little bit of casual boots as a showcase for the German speedrun community. So oh yeah, more rando on the weekend, I think.
And remember, you're here forever.
Yeah.
At least it's not like, you're like 4th rando seed and like in the span of, like 48 hours or something like that. Or tournament match.
I accepted that I'm going to play all those matches and in the time frame given, and reaching week 3 wasn't on my game plan after the first week. So it's kind of a luck and honor to do those many matchups in the short amount of time.
Yeah, no, that's I mean yeah, like the initial 16 were already like super scary in terms of just like skills. So in order to even just make it this far, it's definitely quite the accomplishment.
Yeah, definitely. I'm not even sad about it. It's like, yeah, if you get the 1-2 more or less lucky seeds again against those strong player, you could even reach the finals. But I mean the kind of who are you playing first in those 3 matches kind of matters. Like going in with a loss and play against every one of the, for my opinion, strongest player out of the 4. It's like, oof, this would be a better game 1, so my mindset would be a little bit more pace on for the other 2 matches. But after losing 1 or even twice, it's like, yeah, now you need some kind of miracle.
Yeah, that was definitely a thing. Knowing that I was your 3rd matchup and you're already 0-2, I was kind of scared of how the seed was gonna pan out. But yeah. But after getting go mode and getting 2 swords in pod, I felt pretty good about how I sequenced everything. So it was kind of a just calm playing out. But yeah, that's the way rando goes, and like finishing last week 0-3 doesn't say anything about your skill, though. You're an amazing player, and I think we'll be seeing more of you as the years go on.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and you're still also in the main tournament too, right, Teto? Like you're advancing.
Yeah, it's like still a strong career competitive so that's totally fine. Thanks for the kind words, Ari. And same goes to you. I was glad playing all those 9 matches.
Yeah, yes. Speaking of Ari, so this is your first win. Any particular thoughts, I guess, going into your other 2 matches for groups? Because you were playing Humbug and Relkin too, right?
Yeah, so I think I lost at like 14 seconds against Humbug last time, if I remember correctly. So that's going to be quite the matchup. Yeah, the problem is that both Humbug and Relkin are amazingly strong players as well. And it's, in my mind, it's kind of just like a coin flip. I might have the edge execution-wise, but both of them are just getting better and better in the execution side of things as well. And I'm probably just a bit better at routing than I am. So I guess we'll see how it goes. I'm just hoping for some good matchups, and if I make it, it's cool. And if I don't make it, well, I mean, any 4 of us would have been great finalists, and yeah.
Yeah, for sure. The finals, I mean, it just picking any two, as you just said, from this particular group set of four is just going to be a quite the matchup, basically going into next week. Certainly, best of luck to you. In your particular matches. I believe you're actually playing Humbug later today, right?
Yeah, in like 7 hours.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
just got some time to chill right now.
You're just channeling your inner Teto, I guess. Just scheduling all your all your matches back to back to back.
Yeah, see, it's funny because it was actually supposed to be in an hour, but then Humbug misread my message and just submitted for 9 p.m. our time.
Oh, is that
Because
what happened?
yeah, and
Because
well, he
once
couldn't.
again.
Yeah, it happened again. Even though
Yeah.
I did write CEST, but he couldn't make it, so we just decided to let the 9 p.m. stay for our time, and I mean it works out. Just means I have some less free time tonight, but that's okay.
To take a breather, relax a bit, come back, lace us up with those pseudo boots, and then, hopefully best of luck for you to take out a victory.
Yeah, that's the plan, but
Yep.
we'll see how it goes.
I think any other thoughts, I guess, from anyone before we kind of wrap things up.
Yeah, thanks for the trackers. Thank you too for commentating, and Danka, of course, for the chance of the Invitational tournament. Always a great idea. So thanks for having me in the tournament.
Yeah, big thanks for the commentary. For the commentary, I'll be listening to it because I don't get to hear correct comms often. So
Oh,
curious to see what he
1,000%,
has to
Ari.
say.
Oh yeah. No, this was actually quite. I think Cora did quite the great job actually. A lot of actually really good analysis. He ended up calling actually quite a few number of decisions. I think that both you and Teto did kind of throughout the seed. So really good analysis coming from Korik. Always a good opportunity, I think, to learn. I do want to actually really thank Arturo again, by the way. Huge thank you so much. Without him, so amazingly, there is at least one other human being that is awake, at rando time zone hours in order to be able to restream this. Arturo is also a master restreamer. He's done, I think, at least like 20 matches restream for the main tournament already. Lots of experience. I mean, so I think it was actually just like so fortunate and lucky to be able to have him as a restreamer and basically put the show on because I don't think it would have happened otherwise. So thank you so much. And you mentioned Ari, Korik, a not as often appearance for a commentator, but when he does talk, the quality is top tier. So Korik, thank you so much for agreeing to commentate this match. It was a ton of fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Thanks for having me, and thanks for the race, guys. It was really good.
Yes, yeah, and of course, yeah, big thank yous, to Ari. Good luck later, and of course, Teto. Probably chances this is going to be kind of your last match in the Open Invitational, but it was really, great to be able to see you, and see all of your matches, and you did set, the record, right, for fastest Open Plus finish, 51:39. So it's quite the good amount of stuff in order to take away from this tournament.
It's gonna haunt me forever.
There are still a few matches. I'm not done. There's still the chance for someone to grab that.
Okay, Ari, you heard him. Although your file name still just says no please sub hour, so
I'm gonna stick with that. I like to maximize my gameplay, I guess.
Yeah. So yeah, thank you again to everyone, and yeah, thank you of course to Dunka. All of his tech, basically just making it possible for all, like, for example, like the tracking stuff done, or basically all automatic. We don't have to necessarily worry about anything. So whenever he wakes up, I think he'll probably be managing like the later on match for Area versus Humbug, which I believe is at 3 p.m. Eastern time. But until then, have a good rest of your day.